Okay, armor, what you should keep, what you should be looking for. First, just get a mark, level it up to 10 energy, and then keep it forever. Anytime the power level goes up, you can infuse it with an upgrade module, and when you get something of a higher power, you can just infuse it. And that's completely ignoring the exotic switch drop in this expansion. That's a whole other topic to go over. For legendary armor, I will generally only keep one piece per slot. However, on my hunter and warlock, I do have a few other pieces, just so that there are some that just roll different stats that in a different distribution that I like. But generally, you want to pick 3 stats that you care about and keep armor that has a high number in those 3 stats. So really what you're looking for is armor that has very spiky values. So you want to completely punt on certain stats. Like, I don't give 2 shits about mobility, that's why it's at 18. Every single thing I have has low mobility on purpose. I really care about resilience, recovery, and discipline. And actually it's resilience number 1, discipline number 2, recovery number 3, and then strength is number 4. So the best way to get good high stat armor with good spikiness is to go to the seasonal vendor, in this case failsafe at the helm. Now what you want to do is go to your ghost and equip one of these stat mods, and that will guarantee that whatever armor that you're getting has at least 10 in that statistic. And the way that stats will roll on items means that it's generally best to choose, if you have you have the same stat priority as me, it's best to choose discipline, because stats will roll into 2 different buckets, and each bucket has the same number of stats allocated to it, and those buckets are mobility, resilience, and recovery, and then the second one is discipline, intellect, and strength. So let's say I have an item with 60 stats. 30 stat points will be in the first bucket, 30 stat points will be in the second bucket. So if I'm prioritizing discipline, I really want something that has a huge amount of discipline, not much intellect, not much strength, and then a lot of resilience and recovery. So the ideal stat drop is something like this, where it's maybe 15 in resilience, 15 in recovery, 30 in discipline. So that would cover those 60 stats. You do run into a situation where if you get everything that's totally perfect, your discipline is going to end up being like 120, so you want to bleed off some of that into one of these 2 other stats that you care about. In this case, I kind of care about strength. So on some stat pieces, I do have a little bit of strength on it. But really what you want to prioritize is getting resilience to 100 as soon as possible. Pick one other stat that you think you like. I like discipline because I get more grenades. And then depending on how much you prioritize recovery, in PvP, recovery is very, very important. Usually people prioritize recovery even ahead of resilience in PvP. But on this build in particular, it doesn't matter because I have tons and tons of healing anyways, so recovery isn't hugely important. And then it's kind of the same thing with exotics. You can reroll exotics with Rahul, but I generally will reroll them until at least for the builds I want to use, I reroll them until I get stats that I like. Now the other thing that you have to keep in mind is you can masterwork your armor, and when it masterworks, you get +2 stats in for every single stat. That's why you can see the little yellow bars at the end of each white bar. For normal legendaries, it's pretty cheap to do that, but for exotics, it costs like 3 ascended shards, so very, very expensive. You kind of have to pick and choose. So you really want to, what we were saying earlier is you want to boost it to like a level 7, because that's just before it starts requiring prisms to upgrade, and that can still give you enough slots to put mods in to give you a feel for how the build is going to work and if you're going to like it or not. And then the thing, you really do need to care about the mods. They can have a huge effect on your build. So for example, this is like almost a purely melee build. So all the mods I have are focusing melee. I get extra bonus on melee kills. I get class ability energy with a powered melee attack. I produce orbs from melee final blows. That kind of stuff. And then the other thing that people, I see a lot of people completely ignore, and it's such a powerful mechanic that people really shouldn't ignore it, except for in very rare cases, are armor charge. So every time you pick up an orb of power, you get an armor charge. You probably noticed this. And there are certain mods that make use of those armor charges, and certain other mechanics in the game as well make use of the armor charges. But you can get additional value by using mods. So in this case, I have these weapon surge mods, and they will consume armor charge so that they start, decaying over time. It puts a timer on it, so this doesn't last forever. And it'll just give me a boost to any of my strand weapons. Now, whenever I do a weapon surge mod, I also put in time dilation, so that just gives it a longer duration. But some other things that you can do with armor charge, you can do a grenade kickstart. So every time that you throw out your grenade, you automatically get some of the energy back, but it consumes all of the armor charges. Those are generally the two use cases I have for armor charges, but I think there's a few others. Like you can, like if you do finishers, sometimes you can get some boosts. I generally don't use these too much. These are really focused around team play a lot more, and I play a lot of solo content. But generally, you're talking about you want to do some kind of grenade kickstart, or you want to have like a weapon surge. I usually will throw out a weapon surge unless I really, really care about ability regen on my feet armor. And that's pretty much it for armor charge, but it is very, very important, I think. I think that's it.